2 balls, 2 strikes, bottom 9. 8-4. Alexis Diaz on the mound. If I wear these glasses any longer, Nick, I might fall asleep. 1 out.
1 down.
1 out. 1 out. How's your day? Hey, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. I won't do it. There's like some random kids calling this iPad that I assume is my older son's friends or something. I was gonna answer it, but I think that's a bad idea. There's a lot of ramifications that could come with that, and just
I think you're making the correct decision.
Right? Yeah. I mean, my impulsive nature was just like, answer it and let's have some fun. But then my brain was like, hey, this is a bad idea. Let's not do this. Glad I thought of that for a second. But anyways, how was your day?
My day was swell.
That's good. Really nice.
How about you?
It's been a long day. Had to be down at Turfway Park. Is that what it's called? Turfway Park, I think.
What horse you bet on?
Well, that's the thing. So we weren't betting on horses. We were live streaming some stuff for National Gas Rodeo. Shout out to some random competition between gas linemen. So yeah, we did that. And let me tell you, they start their days early. They start their days early.
All right, well, that's the ball game, Trace.
Nice. Look at Espinal. God bless. That kid. He makes plays, man. All right, folks. Well, this game was a lot better. A lot more fun to talk about. We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll talk all about it.
And a bench to bench. Change hit in the air to deep right field. That goes to Lindsay. And the save. He's done. Get out of here, baseball. It's gone. Oh, my God. Can you believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep. In the dirt. It's a wild pitch. Here comes Wallner. The Reds win the pennant. Larkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds. Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded. The outfield deep and around toward right to the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on. Long drive. Right field. And this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the world. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He injured glove. Slow to first, and Ober Fraley, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Marte, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to a career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Nick. Friday night. Some favorite night, prefer Saturday myself, but nonetheless, it's a nice night because the Reds win, and they win in going away fashion, large part due to Elly De La Cruz, his first Grand Slam, which I'm sure we'll get to here in just a minute on the Boschko recap, Nick. You were at Dayton Dragons game yesterday, so hopefully you're kind of juiced up and revived. I know that the Dragons unfortunately weren't able to pull it out, but hopefully you're in good spirits and ready to talk about the few things, I guess, that happened in this game that are worthy of discussion.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. Good game. Fortunately, couldn't hang on to a lead, but yeah, I mean, it was great atmosphere. Got to see Travis Bazzana hit a ball 5,000 feet. So, and yeah, if he turns out to be a superstar, I got to stand in the cage while he took some BP. So, gonna show that video to my kids someday. That might be kind of cool.
Yeah, if he's I was going to ask, the video you took before we get back on Reds baseball in just a second here, were you weren't in the cage. You just had you had your phone like in a spot where it looked like you.
Yeah, well, the netting, you just put the camera in between the netting.
Yeah, all right. Well, you said in the cage, to be fair. You said in the cage.
Okay, I didn't mean in the cage.
I got a little concerned. I was just like, I mean, there's no way they even allow that, and if they did allow that, what absolute balls off of Nick Kirby to stand in the cage and possibly take one right off the dome piece. But nonetheless, yeah, it was a cool video. I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was really, really cool that you're right there, number one pick. We'll see if that ends up being a thing. But tonight, a couple thoughts here before we get started. I just wanted to say maybe the most important analysis of the day. The City Connect uniforms for Minnesota. I had not got a chance to see them. I think that they are brutal. I think in 15 years, they're going to look back at these uniforms, some of these teams, and the Minnesota Twins, one of them, they're going to be like, what in the absolute hell were they wearing? We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
I don't know if I hate him. I'm kind of.
Oh, he likes them. Look at him, Chad. He likes them.
No, I don't love them. I'm in between. I don't think they're terrible. Like Pittsburgh's are terrible, but they're terrible on a different just because they were so lazy. I don't know. I don't hate them. They're a little fun. They would not be if I don't know how many are there. 20. They would probably be in the bottom 5 for sure. But I don't think I despise them.
I mean,
I think they're better than Phillies.
Match.
They're better than Phillies. They're better than the Phillies. I think they're better than. I'm looking here now. I think they're maybe better than the Giants. The Giants are pretty boring. Yeah, that's probably
not good. I mean, that's all I got for you. I don't think they're that good, but that's here nor there. All right, as usual, we have the Boschko recap presented by yourself. Some other fun topics like Aguilar, Friedl, probably one of his better games of the entire season tonight. And then I'm sure on the back half, I can already guarantee what's on there. Boschko recap, though, as always, presented by you, Nick. Take it away.
All right, let's get into it. All right, Reds taking on the Minnesota Twins, the first of 3 at Target Field in Minneapolis. Twins entered Friday with a 3.5-game lead for the final AL wildcard spot with just 2 weeks left to play in the season, 2 weeks and a couple days. Julian Aguiar went a career-long 6 1/3 innings, allowed 3 runs for the Reds. Solid outing from Aguiar. TJ Friedl really showed off his versatility for the Reds, scoring early. He had his 12th home run of the season in the 2nd, and then Spencer Steer tripled in the 7th, and then Friedl laid down a bunt to bring him home for the Reds' 2nd run. Reds will then break the game open later in the 7th when Ty France had an RBI double, and then Elly De La Cruz crushed his first career grand slam. That put the Reds up 7-1. TJ Friedl would cap off his great day in the 8th inning with an RBI single single, which was followed by a steer double. And the Reds would end up hanging on for an 8-4 win. Reds now 72-77 on the season. And the Twins' lead for a playoff spot cut down to just 2.5 games over the Detroit Tigers.
And on a day like today, a night like tonight, we had an option. We actually had options for the deep drive of the day, which is nice to see. Elly De La Cruz, he gets the nod. First career Grand Slam. That's his 24th of the year. You know, there's a colleague at Chatterbox that's begging Elly to get to 30. I don't know if he's going to get there, but they're begging. They are begging, and they are begging some more. 107.3 off the bat, not a cheap home run, 398 feet. That would give the Reds a 7-1 lead, as Nick already mentioned, 98.4% chance of winning. And as we all know, it would be a 100% chance. And speaking of 100% chances, DSC is a 100% chance of being a leader in renewable commodities, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And thank you to John, as always, and his team. All right, let's get right into it, I guess. I guess Aguilar is going to be the first topic of conversation just because he was the starter. I thought, again, what's the word to use for him? It's kind of like cute, I guess, is the thing that comes to mind. It's just, it doesn't excite me, and I don't mean to be mean about it. I'm not trying to be rude. I watch him pitch. I think this is nice. Maybe he can be like a middle reliever type guy that can help us when we're ready to win. I really hope that we're not relying on him to be a rotation guy. But I do think that there's some good assets. There's some good traits there, and I mentioned before on this show when he pitches that I think his changeup is above average. It's a pitch that is more than big league worthy. The question is can he be consistent enough in throwing it and mixing his pitches and keeping guys off balance to be able to find a spot going into 2025. He's had a hell of a run, though. I mean, he started in AA, went to AAA. Neither stop was like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, neither stop was like he was unbelievable. It wasn't like, oh, man, we got to get Julian Aguiar up here. But he's kind of up here just based off, in my opinion, he was one of the guys they didn't want to he wasn't on a cycle. Like they were fine with rushing him to the big leagues. They wouldn't be fine with one of their top prospects because they almost feel like there's too much value in possibly ruining a top prospect. And I'm not saying they don't care about Aguiar, but point is, gets another opportunity. What's he go 6 1/3? 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. So, good outing. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I guess that's kind of where I'm at with Julian Aguiar.
Good outing against a really good team, one of the top 10 offenses in baseball. Just got Byron Buxton back. Of course, Byron Buxton did take him deep in this game, but yeah, I mean, that was pretty impressive stuff for him. Look, again, you're not counting on Aguiar to be in. I mean, if you look at the depth chart going into 2025, I mean, you have Green, Lodolo, Abbott, probably Burns, Williamson, Lauder. I would say probably even Junis and Ashcraft ahead of him. So he's like 9th right now in the pecking order, and that's fine. Like, this is the kind of guy you want to have as your 9th option because, you know, there's a decent chance you might need your 9th option. As we saw this year, the Reds have gone, to 13 or 14 options with starting pitching. So, I mean, this guy was the Reds minor league pitcher of the year last year. So I think there's kind of a balance of like the whole, like he's a nice little serviceable guy and he's actually a quality pitcher. I think he's kind of somewhere in the middle of that, but that's fine. I don't think anyone's ever expecting him to take the reins and be a bona fide top of the rotation starter, but he's certainly a guy that just provides you some real depth. And I still think Carson Spires can also be a guy like that. I know his end of the year has been atrocious, but I think that he's still a guy that he can work on some things, and you know, you can use these guys, and it's good experience for Aguiar right now more than anything else. And I think he really will gain from that going into next year when he probably will be needed at some point.
Not an exercise that has to take place right this second, but I'd be interested to know how many pitchers each of the division leaders have used. Guardians, Astros, Phillies, Brewers, Dodgers, and did I miss somebody? I think I haven't. I guess what would it be? The Yankees. That's what I'm missing. I guess my point is saying in Aguiar is more or less like if we're relying on him to have more than a couple starts a year, I think that we're not in a very good spot. Having said that, though, I'm not opposed to the idea of him actually having a role inside of maybe a bullpen depth piece, if you want to call it that. And I know, I gave Derek Law some shade yesterday, but maybe similar to like a Derek Law is what I would see Aguiar as at some point in a big league career. But you never know. I don't want to put like limitations on guys either. He could continue to get better. He's young enough to continue to get better. So we'll see if that's the case. But overall, like you said, it was a really good night. I don't want to downplay that at all. And again, this late in the season, it's just hard for me to get excited on too many guys starting. I mean, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. That's where I'm at with it.
The Guardians used 13 pitchers this year as starters. I think one of them is an opener. I haven't looked through all of them, but I think 12 of them are legitimate. Like they were starting pitchers this year.
Okay,
they're in. I thought there was probably the best comp just because they're a mid-market team in first place in the division. I know the Dodgers have used a ton too. So, but again, I mean, I would say your average right now with how many pitching injuries there are, you're probably looking at 8 to 10 is the average at least. But I don't know. I mean, that'll be something I'll look into more in the off season. But I would not be shocked if there are more teams that make the playoffs that have double-digit starting pitchers used throughout the year.
I'm not saying that's not true. I would just be saying what's the percentage of starts by the top 6 guys. That would be more indicative to me. Like if you have 6 different guys that had 1 start apiece, that's a lot different than having 12 guys that throw, 30 plus innings and they all throw 30 plus innings. So
the Guardians only had 1 qualifying pitcher for the ERA.
So we'll but again, like, yes, okay, I get what you're saying. But my point in general is like if we extrapolate it out over the course of all the teams, what does that look like? What's the average? That's something that would be reasonably.
Well, and another thing that's important for the Reds is none of the Reds starters have gone through a full season. So that's also going to be something that's going to have to be managed more than it's not like you're going into the season with 5 starters that have all thrown 150 plus innings in back-to-back years or anything. You have a bunch of guys that have never pitched through a full season.
When's
so
that change though? Do you think? When's that change?
Hopefully soon. I mean, you hope that Green is 1 season away from hopefully getting there. Abbott's 1 season away from getting there, but everyone else, I mean, it's going to take probably a couple seasons for them to kind of, build their way up. I mean, I think every pitcher how they handle a workload and a workload drastically increasing is different. I mean, I think some guys can just go from 80 innings to 180 innings and it doesn't really affect them as much. But a lot of these pitches, especially the ones that are maxing out their velocity. I mean, you can't just ramp them up too far; they're going to get hurt.
Yeah, there's
a lot of hurt anyways.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting questions to be had, and I think it's very unfair to speculate on what the issue is, but it just definitely seems like if we do another season with the Reds and the starting pitching staff not being able to stay relatively healthy, there should be some semblance of an investigation on whether or not these guys are doing their own throwing programs, which that's what my guess is. I could be completely wrong. My guess is that the Reds maybe give them a packet to say, hey, here's how we would like you to do your throwing program. But I have a really strong belief that a lot of these guys look at themselves as independent contractors to a certain extent, and it's their career, and they want to try to handle their body as best as they can in the offseason. So maybe people would, and I'm not saying that's the right way, but I just think that that's what happens. But if they're not able to do it again, something's going to have to change, because it's not sustainable to be a winning baseball team and have this many guys that are consistently in and out of the rotation. Speaking of in and out of rotations, and it's not rotations, it's more or less on the field. TJ Friedl, he's been a hot topic of conversation of recent because of just his lack of production for the most part, but he's clearly one of those foundational pieces that we're going to need heading into 2025. Had a really good night tonight. I think he had 3 hits. Obviously had the home run. That was a no-doubter. Even had a bad base running mistake that he got out of because of his athleticism, so that was nice to see, although it would have been really nice to know that he knew that he couldn't run because there was a cutoff man right there. But he had a good night, and he also ran a ball down in right field and gave you a reminder of what he's capable of doing. And it keeps bringing me back, Nick, when you see these outfielders chase these balls down. That ball's gone in Great American Ballpark. We don't really get to see this much with our baseball team because some of these guys don't get a chance to have that much luxury to track balls down. Maybe we're wishing too much in regards to the big ballparks sometimes, but it sure feels like this team more or less would be better fitted or better served if the fences were moved back a little bit. And I know that's not going to happen, but it's certainly a thought that crossed my mind when TJ Friedl ran that ball down.
Yeah, especially with just the kind of team, the roster that the Reds have. But yeah, this was just like the game that you see TJ Friedl play and you go, that's how he can impact the game in every facet. I mean, hit a home run, lay down a bunt single, make a great catch. I mean, that's the 4-win player that TJ Friedl was last year that if we haven't unfortunately got to see much because of injuries. But I know I said it before, but I think his power being sustained this year is the most encouraging development from him, because that was the one thing that I felt might had the potential to be the flukiest part of his game, but he's kind of answered that like, hey, I'm a legitimate bona fide 20 home run guy if I'm healthy for close to a full season. And that to me is really, really important for the Reds going forward, that, okay, TJ Friedl's legit, because if he hits 20 home runs, his average, I mean, yes, it matters, but it doesn't matter that much. Like if he hits 20 home runs and plays great defense, whatever you get elsewhere is fine. He's still going to be a above average player just with that.
It all comes down to what the makeup of this roster is going to look like, or from a lineup perspective. And if you have a bunch of guys in the lineup that have some pop, then I think the kind of the bomb and strike out, I don't want to call it a strategy, but that's kind of what it becomes in Major League Baseball. You take a lot of guys that are willing to strike out, but then they obviously can hit the ball over the fence. I just hope that we find ourselves in a position where we find ways to get on base, and then we get timely home runs. Like Elly's home run is a grand slam, yes, but the only reason that Elly's home run was seemingly more important than TJ Friedl's is just based off of what guys did in front of him, and he had runners on base. It just seems far too often on this team specifically, we just have way too many strikeouts with guys in scoring position with less than 2 outs, guys at third base with less than 2 outs. You can't put the ball in play. And maybe I'm old school for thinking that, and maybe that's not the way to go about it, but I really hope that they continue to try to find guys that aren't all, feast or famine. And we have some more guys that are going to be a little more, dialed back in regards to strikeouts. And maybe I'm willing to give up some of that power. TJ Friedl, I would say he's best when he's putting the ball in play. I know if he hits 20 home runs, in your mind, it doesn't matter, what those other numbers look like. But when he's bunting for base hits, he gets on base. You start to put pressure on the defense from your base running perspective. I just think that there's invaluable things that you can't put statistics on when you get on base. And Elly's a perfect example of that. There's no way you can convince me that you'll ever know the true potential of what Elly is, because he causes so many things to happen when he gets on the base pass that don't show up in box scores. Whether that's walking a guy because you're too worried about him being on base, whether that's throwing a pitch out on 1-0, and then all of a sudden now you're 2-0, and it's a hitter's count because you were worried about the base runner. These are all things that unfortunately analytics will never find out. But when you watch 162 games, you inevitably know there's value to that. I need Matt McClain. I need TJ Friedl. I need those two guys. That's the difference between last year and this year in my mind. I need those two guys to be the consistent players that they were. And if they are that, I think the rest of it will fill in quite nicely.
And TJ Friedl actually is striking out the exact same percentage as he did last year. So it's not like he's not putting the ball in play more. It's just, I think part of it's bad luck, to be honest, because if you look at his batting average of balls in play, it's 215 coming into Friday. His career's 270. So that's quite a bit down, but the strikeout percentage is 16.2%, exact same number that it was last year. So it's not like he's had some drastic uptick in strikeouts or anything. And again, it probably just hasn't leveled out because he doesn't even have 300 plate appearances this year. That's probably the biggest reason. If you saw another 200 plate appearances, you probably see that average and that on base percentage climb quite a bit.
Let's hope. Let's also be very, very honest with ourselves and say that the amount of numbers or the amount of sample size that we're using for TJ Friedl in a big league career is, in my opinion, not a significant amount to say that it should guarantee go back to that. But we'll see. And I'm hopeful that it will. I'm not trying to downplay it, but he's a big piece heading into next season for sure. Game time. I gotta be honest, Nick. I got on the Game Time app tonight and I was scrolling through some games. For those that are looking maybe for an experience or for an atmosphere, don't think that I'm going to be able to make it because for some family things. But Hell is Real is in town. And if you're looking to go maybe catch a football match, and by football I mean in soccer, you can do that down at, what's that, TQL Stadium. No free ads, but, TQL Stadium. You can download the Game Time app and use the code CINCY, CINCY, and you get $20 off that first purchase. And that'll help you because Hell is Real is not an easy ticket to get. But per usual, you know the drill. 2 clicks and you can check out. You can view basically on the seat map all of the prices at once. That's one thing that I like as well. And they have kind of like some nice stars, some value stars that are next to those ticket prices to let you know if you're getting a good deal or not. So download the Game Time app today and use the code CINCY, CINCY. You get $20 off your first purchase.
Trace.
What
time is it?
7. Hold on, I'll me open the Game Time app. I'll tell you right now.
It's game time. What time is it game time? That's what we're supposed to do.
Game time. See, I'm not that smart, Nick. I mean, you're asking a guy that's running on fumes right now to keep up with that. That's smart. That's very smart marketing. I'm not good. I'm not that. You want me to like Ray Lewis it? You want me to do that?
Do you want to replay it?
Yeah, go
Chris,
ahead.
what time is it?
Game time.
Yes.
I think I just woke my kids up.
I feel good.
Yeah. If you really want to know what the game time is for that Hell is Real match, it's 7:30 p.m. TQL Stadium. Thank you very much. 988 text or call as always. Mantherapy.org. Mantherapy.org. Get therapy like a man. Go to mantherapy.org. Don't know if that's like their slogan or not. I just kind of made that up on the fly and I kind of liked it, so I'm going to keep doing it. Get therapy like a man. Mantherapy.org.
I think it's got some legs.
We'll see. Back half of the rundown. Elly's on it. Interesting. Elly Steer, India, Matt McClain. He's got some information. David Bell broke some breaking news. Before we get to those, I do want to shout out the Supers real fast. Thank you very much for supporting us and supporting our shows. If you've not hit the like button already, please hit the like button. That would be nice of you. We need all the likes we can get. Sean Krutka says, any particular reason Burns didn't pitch at all this year? Do you anticipate him participating in fall and or winter ball? I do not. I think that is a standard for most guys that get drafted in college that are starting pitchers and pitchers in general. They have a long season. I mean, they start their season back in February, if you don't know college baseball, which means they really start ramping up to get hot and get ready for their regular season in January. So by the time their season ends, they've kind of had a really long season. Now, there is a pretty significant gap. I do understand maybe the hesitation or saying, is it wise of them to sit that long? I don't want to say he's not going to play fall or winter ball because I don't know, but my guess is that you may know.
Burns will pitch some in the instructional league in the fall as well.
There you go.
The same path as Rhett Lauder. I don't think Rhett Lauder actually officially pitched in any games, so I think these are like unofficial games that'll pitch in. But Paul Skeens last year threw 6 2/3 of actual innings that were recorded after he got drafted. So this is not anything weird that the Reds are doing. In fact, it's the exact same plan they worked for Rhett Lauder. Right now, it feels like that plan for Rhett Lauder is pretty solid. So
yeah. So we'll see. I mean, listen, I think Chase Burns has a chance to provide some real juice to this fan base that has been frustrated with whatever moves that they may make or may not make this offseason. I think that you head into spring training and you're going to see this guy. He's going to be throwing 100 miles an hour, and he's got an absolute hammer for a breaking ball, and you're going to be like, damn, this guy's really good. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not suggesting for a single second that he has to make the opening day roster for whatever reason, but I do think that if the Reds are within some semblance of a playoff push, Chase Burns is going to have an impact, I think, on that team in 2025. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I will see.
Yeah, I mean, it probably has a better impact than the other two guys that were drafted. I mean, I saw Travis Bazzana. He looked really good in that one game I saw last night, but I've saw him a couple other times this year, and he's kind of working through it. So I don't think he's on the Guardians opening day roster next year. I don't think he's probably even on their roster until at least if things go really well towards the end of the year. Charlie Condon has a 48 WRC plus at the same level, high A for the Rockies. So, this certainly, we've talked many times, not why you make the move is because Burns can be an immediate impact, but that is going to probably end up being a nice bonus for the Reds, is that he probably actually can. It's funny because you draft these pitchers and you don't get to see them in the minor leagues in that first year. And it kind of sucks. Like, well, the Guardians get to see Bazzana play in Lake County. The Rockies get to see Charlie Condon wherever the Rockies are. But the next year, you'll probably get to see the pitcher in the big leagues earlier than the hitters a lot of times. So it's kind of funny how that has kind of worked out, at least in recent memory.
Yeah, and I would also say that, I mean, Burns, of all the three guys you mentioned, 100% has the highest floor. I mean, he's gonna have the, without question in my mind, the best chance to have an immediate impact for the Reds, or a much quicker impact than those two other guys. We shall find out, and we shall see, though. Steer and India. Steer obviously had some really good swings. India leads off the game with the hit, yes, as well. I don't know what to make of both of those guys, because I feel like there's times where I'm frustrated by him, and I'm Steer not as much maybe, but India's kind of like, I'm gonna ask you, and I know that people think we're India haters. Am I a bad person for thinking that I just stare at the months outside of the great month that he have, and I almost just discount the unbelievable month that he had, because I just look at the other months and I'm like, this is just terrible.
I think you can find that for a lot of players if you're digging. India, I mean, the one thing I will say about Jonathan India, though, yes, it was all one really, really good month, and the rest of the months were pedestrian. But there wasn't a terrible month. There wasn't a fall off the cliff, Jamer Candelario, Will Benson month. There was nowhere close to that. Everything was, I think, over a 600 OPS. So at least his worst isn't completely unplayable. So I would give him a little bit of a benefit on that. But again, it's just both those guys, India and Steer, they just don't fit this roster. I mean, you can slide them in somewhere, but they're just players that don't have a natural position fit anywhere. and it kind of makes it hard to build a roster around them in some ways. And like, and then you see like a guy like Ty France that you just pick up on the scrap heap, and it's like, is this guy better than those two guys? Or at least India, if they're a DH first base?
I'm not answering that tonight. But yeah, I'm with you. Trust me, I'm right there with you. There's nothing more frustrating than watching Espinal play second base and or third base. Because you want to do this now? I'll do this now. Marte is hot trash. He is absolutely hot trash. And I'm not saying he's going to be hot trash for the rest of his career, nothing like that. I'm not giving up on him. But he is so bad at third base defensively right now. It's scary. I mean, honest to God, like there's a routine ground ball, and he almost misses an easy throw, super easy throw, almost misses it. Thank God Espinal was over there. He had the flexibility to be able to kind of stretch and get the guy at second. And then there's a ball that gets thrown to third base, and I don't know if people even seen this or noticed it, and maybe it's not a big deal to some. But there's a ball that's just bouncing. I mean, and God's honest truth, it's just barely bouncing all the way to third base. He tries to scoop it and completely whiffs on it, like misses the whole ball, and it rolls to the pitcher. And I'm like, how do you have such bad hand-eye coordination right now that you miss that completely? You don't even touch it. Your glove doesn't even touch it. But again, maybe I'm overreacting. He's the worst Major League Baseball player in 2024. And I'm hopeful something changes. And if he needs this as motivation, please do. If someone wants to clip this up and send it to him, I don't know if he's in shape either. I almost like sometimes I look at him and I wonder, and I know I'm being critical. I wonder with Marte, does he care? Does he want it? Because it seems like he came into a situation where he was going to have to be on his A game to earn the trust of this organization and a fan base. Fan base, not as much, but the organization when you get suspended. And he's done nothing but come in and be, I don't want to say too lazy, but semi-lazy, abysmal defensively, and atrocious offensively. And it just seems as if there's no adjustments being made. And I know that's being super, super critical of a young player. But something's going to have to give. Because he doesn't have a spot either. Because Espinal is going to clearly take that spot.
Or a free agent.
Or a free agent. Yeah, I'll leave that open. I'll leave that open-ended.
I still think they should bring in a free agent third baseman as a stopgap and have Espinal be your insurance policy. I think Espinal's a much better insurance policy than an everyday player.
I would agree with that, yes.
I don't understand the Marte defense at all. Like, I understand the hitting, just, you're struggling to figure it out. Like, that's pretty normal. Minus 11 outs above average. I mean, this is from Baseball America last year. Marte has the feel, instincts, and arm to play shortstop long term. How does that guy not play decent third base? That's
lazy. He's being lazy. Something's happened, Nick. I'm not trying to I'm going to say how I feel. I think he got suspended, and he did not do what he was supposed to do. He felt sorry for himself over a considerable period of time, and now it's catching up to him, right? You know how in school when you didn't do your homework and you didn't study? Well, you could get by with that until the test came. Well, now the test has come, and we're all seeing it firsthand that he wasn't ready. And I don't know what the hell he was doing before he got up here. And the sad thing is I don't believe he was a good player because of steroids. I will not believe that for a single second. But damn it, he's given them a lot of ammunition. He's given that crowd every bit of ammunition you could possibly have. If you think that Marte was only good because of steroids, I can't even argue it anymore. I'm just going to say, I don't know, but I believe he wasn't. But I can't really say that because the proof so far looks like they might be right.
I hope you're not right, but I don't think your claim is off either.
Right.
I hope it's a confidence thing. I hope it's his confidence just got completely shredded, and I hope that's what it is. But I think your lazy point.
Yeah,
has
I
a
don't
good
want to
chance
call him
of
fat.
being true.
I don't want to call him fat. I think calling him fat would be a little too mean. But he certainly doesn't seem as athletic as he was last year. And maybe he's getting older. Maybe his body's changing. Something's got to give. And somebody needs to rip his ass. I don't know who it is, but somebody should be in his ass, letting him know that you don't get too many opportunities in life like this, bud. You can sit here and act like you're a top prospect. You can sit here and act like you're just as big of a part of this franchise as Elly, and you got hyped up, and you had a 16-game hitting streak, and all that's great. But you can get passed by like that too. It doesn't take yet, but one more bad year from Marte, and then all of a sudden he's one of these other bounce back big time prospect used to be guys, right, Nick, that you can get excited about. That's genuinely where he's at. And if he's not too careful, he's going to find himself in a spot where he's probably not going to be too pleased. But speaking of guys that we're also hoping from, clearly I'm not going to put Marte and McLean in the same sentence in regards to of how things are going. Hopefully McLean's working hard. I'd assume that he is, but I don't know either. But here we are again, and we're not going to see him for the rest of 2024, as we probably already knew, but now it's pretty much official.
Yeah, it stinks. I mean, it's not ideal for sure. I mean, you were really hoping that. I think it was important that he came back and got some games. It's not the end of the world by any means. It's not gonna make or break anything for him, but it's a long time to go. Not playing professional baseball. I don't know. I don't know if he would be open to going over to the Dominican Summer League. I know there's been a few, or Winter League, not Summer League. I know there's been a few, American players that have gone over there and played. I think something like that would be good for him. That's just a long time to go without playing baseball, Trace.
Yeah, it is. He's going to have to play. He's going to have to play somewhere. And I know people are going to hate that. But I don't know what that crowd wants. Like, honest to God, I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to start like in fan rivalries and debates and we're right or you're wrong, anything. I'm just genuinely asking for all the people that say that Matt McLean, he's not coming back, shut him down. He doesn't need to play. How long can you go without playing in meaningful, like even semi, realistic games, whether they're simulated games, whether they're actual spring training games, or whether they're regular season games and heaven forbid postseason games? How long can you go before you start to rust pretty bad? I would say he's borderline there. So I think he needs to play in some, whether it's a fall league or whether it's the winter league. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt. That's part of it. But he's got to play. Like, he has to play. I don't want Matt McLean's first baseball games to be in spring training. I don't. And if they are, I'm going to, basically cross my fingers and pray, but it just seems like a bad plan. I think that, especially for a guy that we're going to rely on. I mean, it would be one thing, Nick, if he had plenty of time to, maybe work behind the scenes and figure it out and maybe go back to AAA. But that's not what this team is hoping for. At least I don't think it is.
I agree. I think like him and CES are in much different camps. Like, and again, I'm not against CES going and playing in the winter either. By all means, if you can, great. I'm all for it. But if CES comes to camp and doesn't look right, okay, you send him to AAA. It's fine. You can fill that DH spot. You really, I don't think the Reds are going to be able to bring in a third baseman, a second baseman, a left fielder, and a right fielder all this offseason. I mean, that might be a little far-fetched, believe it or not. Yeah. So, like McLean, you almost have to, he has to kind of be the one guy you kind of have to say, hope and pray that he works, right? I mean, because it feels like among those other ones, he's the one that, okay, well, if he actually plays the way we just expect, right, and not even a crazy high expectation, he fills that one spot. So, yeah, I'm with you. I hope he plays something. I hope he comes to camp. I hope we're not in May going, well, he just needs more time to get going. And it's like, yeah.
Well, honestly, this season proves that you can't just lackadaisically go into seasons and just roll the ball out there. There was 1 month that destroyed this team, and it was May.
It was May.
I mean, and it was because there was a lot of guys that were, we just got to give them more time. I'll say it. Espinal was horrible. Candelario was horrible. Like, these guys were bad. India wasn't great. A lot of these, and CES wasn't very good. A lot of these guys weren't good for, a short period of time. But that's part of it. And if you're not good for a short period of time and you're really, really bad for a short period of time, then it affects the season the same way. Whether you've been slowly bad all year long or horrible for only 1 month, it doesn't matter. So me and you are on the same page with this. We don't always agree on everything, but some of these guys are going to have to play. And if you're worried about them getting hurt, then all I would tell you is, what makes you think that if they can't play in the Winter League and stay healthy, what makes you think they're going to play 162 games next season? And, oh, by the way, I know we forget this, they also have to play for like a whole nother month to reach the ultimate goal. So it's you're either healthy or you're not. And if you're healthy, you got to go play. It's simple as that.
I think every offseason free agent I look at, I'm going to pull up career splits and I'm going to see what is their April OPS. And I'll be like, yep, nope, next. Like, we have to bring in someone that is a hot hitter in
starters,
April.
Don't we, Nick?
Yeah.
It's like, Candelario is a slow starter. Look at his career. It's like, well, I don't know. It's June. Like, it'd be kind of nice if we started to play some baseball. To be fair, he did. But he then got hurt. So here we are again. All right, Reds MILB. There's it's dwindling. We're dwindling down. The Reds MILB is Nick. I know you had a heartbreaker. We both had heartbreakers for the Dayton Dragons, and they had every opportunity in the world to win both the games we were at. But for those that don't know, I'm sure you'll share what happened to those folks, unfortunately. But nonetheless, Reds MILB as a whole, presented by Nick Kirby.
Yeah, we're down to 2 teams last weekend for the Lookouts. So we'll be down to 1 next week, and the next week is the final week for the Louisville Bats. Dayton season came to an end. They were swept. Both 1-run losses, both times had the tying run on third base. So hopefully a good learning experience for them. Daytona, they got swept, but they were clearly outmatched, playing a team that won, I think, 20 more games than they did in the regular season. So again, but good experience for these guys. You don't play in a lot of games with those kind of atmospheres, so that's good. All right, we do have exciting stuff, and we'll start off with AAA. They lost. No one cares. They lost 6-4. Chase Petty pitched, and Chase Petty made a really strong debut in AAA. Went 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Petty's fastball topped out at 97.7 miles per hour. First time we get to see some data on him. So there's a few folks that really dig through that well, and I'm excited to kind of hear what they have to say on it. I got 12 whiffs, including 5 on his slider, I think out of only 16 swings. So his slider looked really effective. Again, Chase Petty, younger than Chase Burns. So getting up to AAA, having a solid first outing, I think is good for him. Also good, Jacob Hurtubise, 3 hits, 2 doubles tonight and stole a base. So good to see. It'd be nice to see Hurtubise finish the year strong. He's an interesting player, Trace, this offseason. Does he keep his 40-man spot? If I had to bet, I'd probably say he loses it, as much as I love Hurtubise. But that'll be a player to, I think, monitor for sure. All right, and then down to AA Chattanooga. They won 6-5 over Rocket City in 10 innings. They actually won on they tried to bunt. They tried to throw the ball over to third base. They threw it in the outfield. Rocket City did, and Chattanooga walked it off. But Tyler Callahan, he's back. This is his second. He played in all 3 games. 1 game he only pinch hit late, but this is his second full game. Hit a home run, 2 for 5 tonight. Nick Northcutt hit his 26th home run of the year, the sub-200 hitter, 26 bombs, so a wild season from him. Dominic Matelli just uses a pinch runner and then ended up getting an at-bat, but he stole his 43rd bag of the year. So that's pretty cool to see. And then wild line from Luis May, gave up 5 hits. This is a guy that throws 100 miles per hour. So kind of surprised he gave up 5 hits. He ended up giving up 3 earned runs. But, yeah, interesting line from him. There you go. Reds MILB.
Well, shout out to Chattanooga. They don't get a chance to win too many games, and I'm thankful they won one tonight. So good for them.
Well, let's hold on here. Hold on. They have 2 more games. They're at 89 losses. So
Ooh, they're gonna get.
Honestly, that would be kind of crazy if they finish under 90 losses where they were a couple weeks ago. They played pretty decent ball in September. So
yeah,
the fight is on these last 2 days.
Hey, do you think if what's the kid's name that was giving the signs to the other team because he wanted the season to be over?
I don't know. He was a Twins guy, though.
Yeah.
Is he available? I mean, that is a hell of a bargain. 6th round catcher? I mean,
oh man. Anyways, my point is, if there was anybody that should be doing that, it should be whoever the hell whoever's catching for Chattanooga that night, because if they did that, I don't think anyone should be to blame. They should get a free pass.
The quote from that guy was, "I just wanted the season to be over."
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. What a line too, by the way. You could have been like, I didn't tell those guys. They're just I told a couple of them to say some explicit words, and maybe they were trying to get me in trouble by saying that I was tipping my pitches. Nope, it wasn't tipping them. No, he just came out and just said, "Yeah, I was letting them know. I was trying to get the season to be over." I had to catch a flight to Cabo.
Derek Bender.
What a wild story that's going to be.
6th round pick. He did play in college all year, so I don't know. I would not. I'm dead serious. I would not be opposed to the Reds saying, "Why not?" 6th round talent. The Reds do not have a lot of very good catchers in their system.
We'll take it. We'll take it then. I mean, I'm not opposed to it either. Maybe he'll grow up, he'll learn a little bit, or maybe he just had
He's not going to do that again. I mean,
well, not only that, but maybe he just had a really bad couple of days, and he just got the spur of the moment, and he said, "The hell with it. I'm done with it." Fastball. Could you imagine? One of the hitters like just standing there? Hey, fastball. You're thinking to yourself, all right, he's throwing something. You just start, and he's just right. He just keeps telling you exactly what it is, and eventually you go tell your boys, and pitchers are getting their I can't say anything that's inappropriate, so I'm not gonna say anything at all.
The story was the other team was like confused. Like, they were telling their coaching staff, like, "We're not really sure what's going on here." Yeah. They were like, "This is wild."
All right, we have the rituals to get to. We also have who, what, when, where, and why. We can do either one. You make the pick. So if you have the who, what, when, where, and why, fire it.
Yes, I do. 1 second.
Seconds are being counted.
All right. Right-handed pitcher Simeon Woods Richardson for the Twins. Reds going with the old TBD. This is a 7:10 start time on Bally and the MLB Network if you are outside of the Cincinnati area. Mr. Wood Richardson, a Mets second-round pick in 2018. He was traded to the Blue Jays for Marcus Stroman, then traded to the Twins for Jose Barrero. So he's already been a part of two pretty big trades. Fun fact, Woods Richardson was the longest name in MLB history to be put on the back of a jersey, and he got surpassed by our own Christian Encarnacion Strand. Won the silver medal in 2022 for Team USA in the Tokyo Olympics. He relies on 4 pitches, a 4-seamer, slider, changeup, and curveball. Fastball averages 93 miles per hour. Ty France, only red to face him. He is 0 for 2.
0 for 2. And you know who else is 0 for right now? Nick.
Yeah.
You look.
I just want this to be done.
Is it gone? Is it out of here, or is it done?
It's not done. Hold on.
There you go. Never say die. There it is. Go for it. There's like 19 games left, Nick. 18, 17. Damn, you almost just ripped your whole ceiling out there, whatever that was. Got a light up there? I heard it nick something.
Yeah, there's a light. I actually broke it once. No lie. I was putting a shirt on, I stretched, and I punched it on accident. Like, I don't know how it happened.
Oh, Macho Man. Nick Kirby.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, folks. We have the Bearcats and the Bengals. Obviously, the Bearcats, they got a big one tomorrow. Oh, boy, do they got a big one tomorrow. Satterfield and the gang, they're going over to Yager Stadium. Is this the end of the Satterfield era? Some are asking. If you can't win at Yager Stadium, can't win at Nippert Stadium, where can he win? Some in Louisville would say nowhere. But he's got a chance to survive, save his job tomorrow. Chuck and Houdini, they'll be right on top of it, I'm sure. Chatterbox Bearcats, and as always, you have the Chatterbox Bengals. They got a big one. They got Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Jacob and Craig will take you all the way there with Chatterbox Bengals after the game. And as always, there's a live stream during the game as well. So shout out to those two programs. Please support them as you have always supported us. We very much thank you for continuing to support us. And I would say before I go and dunk this basketball, I need you to do one thing. I need you to like the stream if you haven't already. Please. Please like the stream if you haven't already. We very much appreciate it. And I just want to say to all of you, you know, why you're here sometimes, I don't know. But I got to tell you, I appreciate it. I really do. I thought the over-under on how many people would be watching this show on September 13th with the Reds out of the race was going to be hovering around 11. And we're still right around a hundo, which is pretty impressive. So you guys are the best. And I say that each and every single night. It's not a bit. I mean it. You guys are a community, genuine community up in here. Many of you know each other. And one day we'll be living in the promised land. I promise, you know. I'm not sure what phase we're in yet. Not sure if we're in the Abraham cycle or Moses or what, but the promised land's coming. I hope it's sooner than later. God forbid we're in the Abraham cycle. That would be tough. But maybe we're farther along than that. I don't know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I would suggest try to read the Bible. It'd be a good thing. But who's counting? All right. It's time to be an athlete. Still believe, though. Still got my Crawl Aid shirt for all those haters. All right. I'm not hurt myself, but like the stream if you haven't already. Appreciate you. Take care. Enjoy your Friday night and Saturday.